No, you're going to have to put up with me all morning, did you? You know, it was just 4 years ago that all these pundits were saying that the Democratic Party of Texas was a thing of the past, that it was dead in its tracks. Remember, the Republicans held the governor's office, and they were tooling up and schooling up all kinds of candidates to take on the Democratic slate in November. It was widely claimed then that the Democrats were divided, that they were disorganized, that they were underfinanced. They said we just couldn't cut it. And I remember then the Democrat with the toughest job of all in November. The fellow that had the toughest job of all was the man we selected to take on the incumbent Republican governor. He didn't have as much campaign money, but he made up for it with resourcefulness, with energy, and with nerve. He took on the giant and he won. And now we've got a rematch. And no doubt about it, it's going to be a tough race. But I know our candidate is rising to the challenge. And as governor, he delivered for the people of Texas. He delivered with an educational program, with a highway program, with compassion for those in need amongst us. He's built a strong record on which to run, and I'm proud to have him leading the Democratic ticket in 1986, and it's my pleasure to introduce the present governor of the state of Texas and the next governor of the state of Texas, Mike White.
Come here, Linda Gale. Thank you. My fellow Texans and my fellow Democrats, I want to thank you, Senator Benson, for your leadership in this party and this nation, and I want to thank you for a very warm and generous introduction. But let me tell you that now we're down to just two. And we've been hearing a lot about the new Bill Clements. Well, they can make him smile, but they can't make him care. And now Bill Clements has a secret plan, just like Richard Nixon had a secret plan. But we know We know the only thing those secret plans are ever designed to save are the faltering careers of worn-out politicians. Our old friend Kent Hance Kent Hance was right about his new friend Bill Clements when he said that nominating Bill Clements again is like sending Custer back to the Little Bighorn. We're going to win this election. In 1982, they said we had no chance, but we know who won. All of our statewide candidates won, and in 1986 we will again, and so will Raul Gonzalez and Oscar Mauzey and John Sharp. And we're also going to elect the next two speakers of the House of Representatives, Jim Wright in Washington and Gib Lewis in Austin. Democrats are going to win this election because we know how to work together, and let's not forget it. For many months now, the people of Texas have been fed a steady diet of distortions and misinformation about our opponents. But we don't have to twist the record of our opponents. All we have to do is let them speak for themselves. Why, just the other day down in Huntsville, Bill Clements said retired military veterans should not be working for the state of Texas. He wants to fire 13,000 Texas prison employees who once served in the United States military. But I believe, and I know you all agree, that military veterans who are good enough to serve their country are certainly good enough to serve this state. Four years is a long time ago. And the new Bill Clements may not remember the old Bill Clements and some of the things he said. But we remember the real Bill Clements, and we're going to remind him of what he said. If you were surprised by his views toward the veterans, listen to what he said about other state employees. He called them parasitic bureaucrats. Come on, Bill. Come on, Bill. That's right. Come on, Bill. Don't you know who gets up in the middle of the night to put sand on the icy road so your chauffeur can drive you to the club? Lifts the broken body of a young girl from the wreckage of a car hit by a drunken driver? And who puts his life on the line every single day on the main streets up and down our communities throughout this state? Who are those prison guards who risk their lives for this country and now risk their lives for this state to protect us from the criminals we've put behind bars? Who spends the patient hours helping the disabled child learn to walk and toils to teach the mentally retarded to speak a simple sentence? People, not parasites, Bill. Good, honest, working people. Shame on you for saying in 1980, during the Iran crisis, that the American hostages were expendable. Shame on you. When it was announced in 1982 that unemployment in Texas had risen to 8.4% and 600,000 Texans were out of work, Clements said, "Good economic news, declining interest rates, and a soaring stock market greeted us this morning." You know, unemployment was a problem then, and it's a problem now. But there's one difference. We care. Good news on Wall Street doesn't matter. Good news on Wall Street doesn't matter unless we've got good news on Main Street. And some of you may remember when the oil well blew up in the Gulf of Mexico and oil was washed up on the Texas coast, he told Texans not to cry over spilled milk. He said the public outcry over the oil spill that was blackening our beaches was a big to-do about nothing. And when he was asked for a solution to the problem, he said, "We can always pray for a hurricane." Nobody prays for a hurricane, Bill. Remember the old Bill Clements, who said there wasn't a single housewife in Texas qualified to serve on the Public Utility Commission? Do you know what Bill Clements has been doing for the past 4 years? He's been looking for a housewife. And now he says he knows of 6. That's 1.5 housewives per year, Bill. We Democrats know there are millions of qualified housewives in Texas. Yep. National columnists Evans and Novak have written that the Republicans think I may be in trouble because of all the blacks, browns, and women I've appointed in the last 4 years. Well, let me tell you, Mr. Evans and Mr. Novak, and you too, Mr. Clements, as long as I'm governor, I'm going to continue appointing blacks and browns and women to high places in state government because we don't exclude the talent of any Texan and never will. Now, I've been pretty tough on Bill Clements today. Just quoting him. What a person says tells you a lot. But what a person does tells you even more. And I want to brag on what Bill Clements did. Don't worry, this won't take long. There's one thing he did well in office. He fixed up the mansion. Oh my, did he fix up that mansion. Oh my, did he fix it up. Millions of dollars. I assure you it's a better house than this little old Democratic boy ever lived in. It's a wonderful house, and there's a big plaque outside, big plaque, telling all about what Bill and Rita did to fix it up. I mean, a big plaque. Just 3 months after we moved in, the plumbing broke. The pipes burst and flooded out the bathroom, and after that we had to go out back. But we Democrats are used to that. Not long after that, part of the ceiling fell in, and then the air conditioner broke, and then the heater went. I hope someday, maybe, we can put up a little plaque, just a nice little plaque out back of the mansion somewhere. It would say that when the Democrats moved in, we fixed the plumbing and the ceiling and the air conditioner and the heater. And you know, maybe it ought to say that we also cut the lock off the front gate and invited all of the people of Texas back in. You see, the problem was the Republicans, in their typical fashion, fixed all the cosmetic things, but they forgot the infrastructure. And I really and finally found out what infrastructure means. It means indoor plumbing. And it also means schools and roads and water systems and all the basic needs of the people of Texas. And those are the things that Bill Clements forgot to fix. What did the Republicans do with all the oil revenue pouring in 4, 6, and 8 years ago? Did Bill Clements fix the roads when he was governor? We did, with $1.3 billion investment for better roads and highways in 1984. Did Bill Clements fix the water problems of this state when he was governor? But we did, with the passage of a $1.2 billion statewide water plan in 1985. Did Bill Clements fix the problems in our education system when he was governor? 4 years ago, parents and teachers knew that our schools weren't as good as they should be. And when I took office, I discovered that we were 46th in the nation in student achievement. Didn't Bill Clements know that when he took office, Texas was 44th? And didn't he know that during his 4 years, we went in the wrong direction? Or didn't he care? As oil prices went up, student test scores went down. Didn't he know, or didn't he care? People knew. We knew that during his term, schools and students weren't given the priority and attention that schools and students need. Today, we're moving up again. We're moving up because in the past 3.5 years, we have made education the #1 priority in Texas. Teacher pay. Teacher pay. When we took office, we were 30th. Today we're 24th, and that's up 6 places. Investment per student. We were 40th when we took office. Today we're 34th, up 6 places. Student achievement scores, up 12 points this year in Texas. That's the report card. The voters knew and they remembered what the grade was 4 years ago. Bill Clements was our governor and our schools were in trouble. Didn't he know, or didn't he care? Didn't he know that important lessons in math and science and English weren't being learned? Didn't he know that while Texas was winning on the playing field, we were losing more and more in the classroom? Or didn't he care? Why didn't we have a pass-play rule when he was governor? Why didn't we tell kids the truth that work comes before play? We used to give diplomas to kids who couldn't even read what was on them. Didn't he know, or didn't he care? Didn't he know that starting teachers were being paid only $11,110 a year? Or didn't he care? Bill Clements had 4 years to make teacher pay a priority. The old Bill Clements said, teachers have an insatiable appetite for salaries. But wait. The new Bill Clements claims credit for a 49% teacher pay increase. 49%? Come on, Bill, quit that. You know that's not true. And everybody knows the raises that teachers got were in spite of you, not because of you. People know that. He even vetoed health benefits for retired teachers. He said teachers didn't need insurance coverage because they were already covered by their spouses. But Bill, the state provided you with a health plan. With the average price of oil at $35 a barrel in 1981, surely he could have given educators the same benefits he was willing to let the state give to him. Recently, oil has been below $10 a barrel, but we must fight to see that we do not lose the increased aid for education that we provided for our children. The state's appropriation for education is now 53 cents of every dollar. Bill Clements wants to cut the education budget. He says 51 cents of every dollar is plenty. He is promoting, in a sense, a $535 million budget cut for Texas education, and we're not going to let that happen. Let me stop for just a moment. We're facing some very bad problems in the state budget right now, but I assure you that I'm prepared to take whatever steps are necessary to see us through those problems. And I can also assure you that the leadership of the legislature is equally committed to that task. We will do what it takes, and with your help and the support of the people of Texas, we will get the problem solved. But there is one thing we're not going to do. We're not going to turn our backs on Texas' future. We're going to keep looking forward. All across this state, we've heard Bill Clements opposing the tax increase that parents, teachers, and legislators working together helped pass in 1984. If he opposes the tax increase, he also has to oppose all the things we raised that revenue for. The first limits on class size in state history, full-day kindergarten funding, a pre-kindergarten program, a dropout reduction in college-bound programs, teacher loan programs, an additional $635 million in state equalization aid, more than $730 in addition per student for our poorest districts, and group health insurance. We did all those things because we had to, and there were no easy solutions. We need all this now, but we needed them back then. There's just one question about why Bill Clements didn't tackle the real problems for Texas. Didn't he know, or didn't he care? You knew, and I knew, and we cared. We cared. This isn't a fairy tale. This isn't a fairy tale. We couldn't turn our education system from a poor, neglected stepchild into a princess overnight, and it isn't Cinderella. Solutions take money. Pumpkins don't turn into carriages. There's no magic fairy that leaves money for good schools under the state's pillow at night. It takes real money. Parents, teachers, and the legislature all supported a tax increase because they know the value of an investment in education. That's the surest sign of our commitment to better opportunity. Those dollars that people are willing to invest in the future of their children. We couldn't have done it without popular support. People knew we had to stop growing pumpkins and start building opportunity. There are still problems we need to solve with funding for our career ladder, paperwork reduction, discipline management, but we're moving in the right direction, not stuck in the mud, and we're going to get it done. Let me say a few words to our teachers. We ask you to take a test, and honestly, I didn't realize the intensity of the stress that it would cause. For that, I'm genuinely sorry. We ask you to put your jobs on the line, and that's more than we ask of people in any other profession. But I felt and I believed all along that you would pass, and 97% did. Let me say how deeply proud we are of you, because you are leading this state into the future. If I could at this time, I would like to have all of our teachers raise your hands if you would. Stand up, just stand up. Stand up. Come on. We're not going to retreat or turn our backs on the need for good schools and universities, good roads and highways, clean air and water, health care and law enforcement. We're not going to stop pushing forward rapidly and forcefully with efforts to attract businesses and industries and jobs and profits for people who need work in places all across Texas. And let me make you a very special pledge. We're not going to stop. We must not stop fighting against the use and abuse and invasion of drugs in this society. And let me say one other thing. I'm sick and tired of people who claim to have a monopoly on morals and who say that religion has a home in only one political party. This is the party, the Democratic Party, that stood up for indigent health care, the Human Rights Commission, the Hunger Act, relief for victims of the South Texas freeze and the Mexico earthquake disasters, and has worked to address the problems of abuse, neglect, and exploitation of the elderly and the young, divorce, teenage pregnancy, family violence, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, poverty. Our concerns touch all of those human problems and go to the heart of trying to strengthen the core of the family structure in our society. We have to build the future of Texas, and we need all of our human resources to do it. We have to pull away from the days when all our wealth was in the ground, and we had a one-note economy stressing oil, and oil. Knowledge and ideas and invention and innovation. Those are the Texas energy resources we're developing today. Quality education. Quality education is economic development, and quality is what it's all about. In education, in American industry, in world competition, the words "Made in USA," we need to make that stand for number one. recognized around the world, unbeatable. That was the symbol of the very best of excellence, no question about it. And let me tell you, even to this very day, American workers are still the best workers in the world. You can count on it. Doctors and carpenters and engineers and mechanics and pipe fitters and computer programmers and farmers and ranchers. We don't know what our children will grow up to be, but whatever they choose to do, we want them to be the very best. The choice should be theirs. The choice should be theirs. But if we don't give them the tools, the choice will be made for them in an economy of diminishing opportunities. These are tough challenges. These are tough times for Texas. Texas farmers and ranchers are in the worst crisis since the Great Depression. And yet recently we saw the Republican administration in Washington loan $350 million to Argentina to assist that country's agricultural exports. Our oil and gas industry is in turmoil. Prices have been manipulated by the Saudi Arabians to their lowest price in years. The rig count is the lowest it has been since before World War II. And our national security is threatened by our growing dependence on the Middle East to fuel our B-1 bombers and M-1 tanks. And how does the national Republican administration respond? It turns its back on Texas, turns its back on American security, and instead loans money to Ecuador, an OPEC nation, $150 million to help the Ecuadorians through difficult economic times brought about by low oil prices. $150 million for Ecuador, and what does Texas get? I'll tell you what Texas gets from this administration. When asked what kinds of programs could be offered to American workers in the oil industry, the president's press secretary said, unemployment, welfare programs, things like that. That's not good enough and it's not right. The Democratic Party needs to send a signal to Washington that the American government should take care of Texas farmers first, Texas workers first, and Texas business people first, and then we'll have plenty of time to take care of the rest of the world right after that. In Texas, we have fought and won tough battles before. Texans have always been leaders in tough times. And let no one forget that for 150 years, the dominant leadership in Texas government has come from the Democratic Party. And we're not going to stop now. We're not going to sit idly by and wait for better times. I know Texans across this state are working hard right now to make better times. You and I both know how hard people are working to build better opportunities in South Texas, in the Golden Triangle, in East Texas, in the Panhandle, and in every community, urban and rural, across Texas. No one can do it alone. We have to do it together. We have seen the courage in the faces of Texas farmers. And we know the Democratic Party has the right leadership for agriculture. We have seen the commitment in the faces of our teachers, and we know the Democratic Party has the right leadership for education. We have seen the cooperation of management and labor, active in our industries and oil fields, to build back the jobs and the profits and the prosperity and move ahead. And we know the Democratic Party has the right leadership for the new economy. We have seen business leaders and teachers and public officials all working together. And you and I know that's the way we're going to do it in the Democratic Party. I know that Linda Gale and I share the same hopes for our children as all of you do for yours. And we need to be together now, shoulder to shoulder, hand in hand, on the front lines fighting for their future, their happiness, their dreams, their opportunities. Linda Gale and I can't do it alone. We need your help. In 1982, the Democratic Party stood together. We worked together and we joined forces for a sweeping victory when a lot of people thought we had no chance. You remember that. You remember how we all did it 4 years ago. It's not any easier now. The Democratic Party will always be the underdog because we don't have the wealth, but we do have the people, and that's what wins. We have the vitality, we have the spirit, we have the determination at the grassroots, and all of that is what it takes to win. With your help, we're going to have a great Democratic victory in November. With your help, we're going to carry forward the banner of the Democratic Party. And with your help, our victory will ensure that the great Lone Star of Texas will keep on shining as the brightest star in the constellation of the United States. God bless you, and God bless Texas. Let's go get them! Let's go get them! Let's go get them!